Okay, hello guys, good morning, good day, wherever you are. My name is Steven. My name is Steven. I go with the name Search Graphics. Yeah, it's kind of not very sweet, I guess. It's interesting to me. So, welcome to my channel. This is the first time I'm doing this, so forgive me if there's a bit skipping or here and there or grammatical errors. We're not perfect, and besides, I'm creating this on my Nigerian brothers, and I'm hoping this content inspires you to pick up something from this channel, from the series of videos I'll be creating over time, to put you on through about how you can learn graphics design. I thought they use phonetics. Okay, so before we dive right into graphics design, I would like, besides on the screen are some of the jobs I've done personally. I'm not perfect. I'm also learning, but I just feel you don't have to be all perfect before you can teach. You can also put people through some of the opinion. That if you put people through and stuff, you get to learn also. I don't do you accent. So yeah, I'm gonna be a bit playful because I want this to be both enjoyable for yourself and myself also. So well, let me just scroll through some of the work I've done, and I hope we can get a grasp of some of the things, maybe see some of the concepts that are adopted and stuff. So one thing before we go right in, you should understand that when beginning graphics design or any art in that matter, you shouldn't limit yourself about certain things. You should first of all come with an open mind, like you want to learn. Okay, put aside everything you thought you know before, or at least try to inculcate what you'll be learning now with what you had. Merge both of them together, and use that to improve on yourself, on your skills. So just like everything else in life, the more you do, the better you become at whatever it is that you do. So I believe as you start this journey that you would practice. Do not look down on yourself, even if at the beginning stage you know nothing, or if you're currently into graphics design but you feel sometimes your jobs are still subpar. So maybe you could learn one or two things from this. So also, first thing, I'm going to put this out there, this is not a perfect tutorial, so I don't expect anyone to be all criticizing. I'm hoping to create this content for people who are complete beginners, or are going to assume that they are complete beginners, so that they can learn from this. So let's get right into it. And let's just go into it. First advice is this: when creating graphics designs, your ability to design is not limited by what program or packages you use for your designs. You can design from anything as low as Microsoft Word, the Paint program in Windows, and even as high-end as Adobe products. So but for the purpose of this series of tutorials, I'll be using Corel Graphics and maybe later on Adobe Photoshop to put you guys through some selected techniques. So let's get right into it. Once again, welcome, and I'm excited, and I hope you're just as excited as myself, and I hope everybody, all of us together, learn something. Yeah, I'm a Nigerian, and this is the content for everyone. Feel free to listen, follow the guide as it applies. So now, before we go into it, I want to advise this: when you're making designs, what you should strive to learn in is not really how to do a certain kind of effects, how to create any type of things. You should, number one, learn how to be consistent in your design. Some of the things that most graphics designers today, especially beginners, we are often very excited by the fact that you can just select a color from the color palette, and the color is applied to your work, and you're all excited. You just want to use all the colors in the color template for your work. Phonetics are coming again. So what you should do is, as a designer, you should first of all build this mental image in your head on how to be consistent. Consistency means doing something in a pattern, maybe say they follow you, show that way, and you understand. If you have, for example, if I'm going to be using a certain color, I should try and see colors that work well with that color that helps me build contrast. The thing is not about putting all colors in your work. You can even do single color design, and they'll come out looking pretty well also. So work on consistency. By consistency, if you are using certain fonts in this time is handwriting, the way the text when you write wanted display. So if you want to use some kind of font, you use the font, maybe say they go well together. You shouldn't use, maybe you are designing a wedding card and you're using this very big font that should be used for poster designs, or maybe you're designing something for a corporate body. Let's assume a banking industry. You want to create a complimentary card, for example, and then using Corel fonts, script fonts, so use things, design elements that are consistent with the product or service that you're trying to create a design for. And also, when designing, legibility, make sure that your things, your contents are clear to the eyes and appealing. Also, don't just because for in any design a program you finally settle in, there are tons of effects you can apply. So don't be too all excited to want to do everything in one design at once. Rather, use things that ensures that your work comes out clear, your work comes out clean, and your work comes out near perfect. Yes. Then also, sometimes people tend to want to use colors that don't match really well. For example, let me give an instance with this design first. Sorry, my system is a bit slow. So if you notice what I did on this design, I use colors that work well with blue. My major color here is a deep blue or navy blue, whichever one they call it nowadays. So but you see that I use the deep blue on the main background, and I have a lighter blue here, and I have a dark blue, and I have yellow to give it a bit of contrast, so it doesn't be as though we're using single color or blue. And now in using the same design, I changed the color theme to something like this. This one we're using red. You see, in red now I didn't use much of blue. In my background, the background image is something like a tone of red. So you see, this the way it is, the color looks balanced. Understand? So I didn't use red on top of red, even a darker red, or but at least I use colors that help sell the content. So stuff like that works when you're using colors. So do not mix colors too much. Even in this example also, you see color balance: red, ash, white. So stuff like that. So I will get to pick something from this. Also, maintaining alignments. Let me see if I have. Okay, I have an example with this. Sometimes when some designers, when beginners, usually when making designs, they do their designs and you see some part of the designs are going to Abuja, some side is going to Sokoto, some side the whole thing is disproportionate. They don't stand well together. So as a designer or as a learning designer, what you should try is see how you can build your content that they follow a certain pattern. So I'm not asking that you be a sticker for the rules, but just like have it up there in your head that, okay, for example, if you see what I did, all the write-ups I have now are flowing down this alignment, this axis. So those are called alignments. There is a left alignment, there is a center alignment, there is the right alignment. So what I did, I make sure my the writing contents are on the left, and you have my image on the right. Balance. So let's just flow through down and see if there's any other thing. And also when designing, if you notice some of my works, I think of recent I fell in love with this font, Rawell, or Raywell, whichever one comes well. I'll hope to put in the comments some of my favorite fonts, and I hope maybe you go through some of them and you like them just as well as I did. So using simple singular fonts also. And also in design, you are free. There are two types of designers, as I like to tell myself. There is a graphic artist and there is a compositional designer. The graphics artist usually creates their content from scratch without using any design element in their work. What I mean from scratch, like anything they are using in that design, they craft it out by themselves. For the compositional designer, which does not make you any less perfect than any less better, so long you can use contents that are okay, they are not that don't help, that you don't end up infringing on people's copyright, of course, using right image. So the compositional artist collects that design element from different sources and tries to use it to compose a design that sells the message. That's usually what we have mostly. I think I'm more of a compositional artist also, compositional designer also. So, but for the purpose of this discussion, this tutorial, as I said earlier, we'll be using the Corel Draw package and Photoshop later on. So let's go into, but mind you, don't be limited by this. I just hope you look through and learn, and that is, you can, whatever you learn here, you can always put it into whichever program you finally end up wanting to use later on. So this is my banner. You can check out my designs on Search Graphics on Instagram. Feel free to follow me if you want to, maybe to see some of my works as I usually upload them as they come. So all the best, and I'm hoping that we learn something. Meanwhile, before we even go, I might add one more, a few more of this. So when designing, you should establish this is called hierarchy. Hierarchy in design means having concerns that major part of the design have much of the attention on the design than the least important things. For example, if I'm creating something that has let me see let me use the case study of this one. No, not that one. Sorry, like I said, it might be a bit sketchy. Okay, let's use this one. Hierarchy. Now you see that the hierarchy here shows the putting the most important things upwards or bigger in the design. There are different ways to maintain hierarchy. You can use size, or you can use colors. The most important thing here now, in terms of size of text, excluding the image, you see this smoothies and juice. Smoothies and juice are bigger. It's trying to tell the customer, or the it's trying to create a visual appeal to the person looking that, okay, I haven't seen this image here of the fruits in the basket, man. This fruit texture. It's telling you now, okay, smoothies and juice draw up your attention, and then before you know, you are reading neat fruit for your home, blah blah blah, and then the next bigger thing is shop now. So hierarchy helps you bring out your content of that. You see them in practice later on. Also, another important thing you should look for in when designing, don't be in too much rush to want to just design and rush fast. Also build good accuracy in terms of typesetting the content of your design. You want to build up a beautiful design and have it all spoiled because you use incorrect grammar or errors, punctuations and all that. So be very meticulous in your design. No rush, don't touch, don't. The music is the background. Jazz, yes, and I like all this kind of some jazz. Also, lastly, before I open my Corel Draw, I actually use Corel Draw X8. When you are designing, there's this thing I used to do before I understood, before I learned well. Also, when you design, everything does not have to be occupied. Yes, you can allow for some space, free space, especially if you are designing some content for something that there's not much writing, no much write-up. Everywhere no need to full. Let some, like using this same one. There are a lot of free spaces underneath here now that does not have anything. You don't have to put something here. Just let your design breathe. Give it some space. A job shift. Alright, so that will be all for the theory. Let's enter into Corel Draw, and I hope we learn something together. So welcome once again. This is Corel Draw Grafix X8. It doesn't matter whatever version of Corel Draw you are using. Corel Draw is basically the same across different versions, from from 12 upwards. Yeah, so shortcuts and layouts are usually the same. So I like using the dark font. I hope it's clear enough for you guys to see. So this is the Corel Draw graphics suite, the interface that comes up when you open Corel Draw. Some of your recent jobs are usually opened here. You have the creating the new document, you have new from template. As usual, I believe you already know how to use the computer. This is your title bar, this is your menu bar. It brings out more content when you're working on a document. This is your standard bar, this is your property bar. Let me just open the document. Creating new document brings out the option for you to select a different setting for your work. So don't worry, we'll come into all this, but just to create a baseline. New, and this dialog box comes up. You can on size, you can select size for whatever you want your design space to be. Size in this case now is referring to the, let me use it to make it easier, the paper you want to print on. When you, if in case maybe you later on want to print your design job, but if you're not printing for your design job, at least use a size that, a page size that gives you, you know, a bounding box for the major size of the design that you later create later on. I like working primary mode CMYK, but I prefer using RGB colors and exporting RGB colors. I may cover those type of colors also. So let's just use size A4, which is the general paper size. Click on OK. You notice now that other contents have come up on the page. The more information have shown on the menu bar. The standard bar has its own, and the property bar. Currently, the property bar here is displaying properties of this page. This bounding box now is your page. Page means the medium you'll be printing on. It can be customized also. For example, those who will be designing stuff for large formats, or those who will be designing for the for a website, you can always edit the page or the size of your page, or creating a box to work on the size of your design that you'll be creating. So let's just jump into a brief. Mind you, you don't have to grab everything about Corel Draw interface. I'll make sure while I'm introducing you to each tool, we are using it to create design, so that it's just as exciting for you as it is for me. So to just wrap up this session, so we can move more into other ones, let's do this. Yep. The menu bar, you have your file that has its applicable contents, you have your edit, you have view, layout of how your page is viewed, object, effect, bitmap works with pictures. You can create work on your pictures here. You can create, also use them to create different effects, vector text that you create. This helps you format your text properly. These are usually advanced, and you can do that basically on the property bar also. So the property bar brings out more information depending on the tool you select. What I mean tool, these now are your toolbox. There are different things here on the toolbox that you can use to work on your design. This is your pick tool. The pick tool usually helps you move content on your page around, and it also has the freehand tool. The freehand tool, you know, you can use it to highlight over certain areas of your text on your design page, but usually on just pick tool. Then you have the shape tool. The shape tool, now this little triangle ish on the corner shows that there are more content inside. On selecting this, you see the shape tool should be a very useful tool that I'll be using. So the smooth tool, you can use to smoothing out wriggled line, you can distort lines, you can twirl shapes, and like that, small down. But these ones came up more around the X versions, the X series, the X4, X5, and like this is the crop button. Those of us who crop pictures a lot for Instagram or for Facebook, cropping is to cut out certain part of an image that you don't want, you know. And cropping is different from tracing an image out of its former background. That one can be done using the shape tool. You have knife, you can cut vector images, You have the zoom tool. The zoom tool does not, it helps you bring out your display closer. It does not affect the size of your design, it only brings it closer to you, the size of your display, but not the size of the content. So get that. This is the line tool. There are different lines you can draw. You can draw freehand, you can draw 2 points, select 1 point, select another point. Don't worry that I'm not giving an exact practical, I just want to give you an overview of the interface. So now we'll quickly wrap up and prepare for next tutorial. And you have this artistic media tool you can use to draw something, pre-installed artistic content elements. Usually I don't use that. Then you have your rectangle tool. You'll be using this a lot on your design. So these tools, rectangles, you can use them to draw squares. You can just do that on practical. In drawing rectangles, you can just hold your left click. After selecting the tool, you can hold your left click down and drag. It creates a box for you. Now if you want to create a square, you hold the control button, then you hold your left click and you just drag. It creates a square for you. Then you can drop your tool. You notice that this box now has some certain handles around it. Those are called the handles. Yeah, handles around it that are called the handles. And when you click outside, nothing is active as it is now. So you, whatever, if you are trying to apply an effect to your design, to any part of design, you have to select it. For example, this one, if I want to add something to this place, I have to select it, and then let's say I want to give it a color. My favorite colors are blue, so I'll be working a lot with blues. Click on blue. Now if maybe I want to put color on this one, I'll have to select this, selecting that, making sure my pick tool is selected. I'll select the particular part of an image I want to work on, whether move or distort or cut or whatever. Click on it. You see the handle comes around it, and I can change its color by clicking on any particular color. These are not the only colors you are limited to. You can push them out, you can scroll down also like that. I use both the CMYK colors and RGB colors for my design. Personal choice. RGB, they sharp. Okay, that's that for. Okay, meanwhile, let me just explain these handle things. These handle things are used to increase the size of your this design element that is on the page. All elements that can be on the design page usually have this handle. It helps us in increasing, reducing. You can increase and reduce on all sides depending on what you want. But later on I'll explain why you shouldn't use this and this on text, or to use them wrongly on images. We'll get to that. So the next tool there, my favorite tool, is your round ellipse tool, or we call it the circle. Draw a circle. Just like you're holding Control and Shift to draw a square. You can hold Control alone and left click button to draw a square. You can hold Control, hold down your left click button also and draw a perfect circle. Or you can just go all creative on your own and draw the circle anyhow you want them. There you want to draw one maybe like cucumber, or you want to draw one maybe like maybe spherical, not a perfect circle. So no balance, color balance. Good. There are also different types of color circles you can draw here, but usually we don't use these, but in case you want to use it for something, we'll get to those ones. I don't want to give balls with details about the text. To do this and that. This other one is your polygon tool, and it has, see that small triangle brings out a lot of other things. The polygon tool can be editable also. You can use it to draw on the. You see, you notice that, first of all, let me explain this. You notice that when I'm not selecting anything, this is what appears on my property bar. When I select, for example, a rectangle, notice these properties, and when I select a circle, you notice there was a change. So usually the property bar brings out different properties on sometimes a selected tool or a selected element on your design page. If I click on the polygon tool now, it's gonna bring out our option polygon. You notice it's writing on here 6. C is on polygon to refer to the number of sides. Polygon means more than one angle. So how many sides, or more than one side, number of sides. How many sides do you want on your polygon? If I need the minimum is 3. I have to have a 3 dimensional point. So if I want a 3-sided polygon, that gives me a triangle. If I want a 4, so if it's selected and you are adjusting it, you say create more sides, more angles, like that. So let's play. No, this is not a circle, that's a polygon. Ta-da! So next, the almighty popular one, you have the text tool. The text tool helps you input text, helps you to write in your design. Click on text and click. You don't click and drag when writing text unless you want to explain that later. Click on text and you can just type Sage. Sage Graphics. I've drawn my text. So when I click on the text after typing, you notice I dropped my tool. So if I click on the text, you notice that there's been a change on the property bar. On this property bar here, you have this. No, you have this. These ones here are referring to the location of your text using the X and Y axis. You know, the corridor is a 2D, so it's not 3D, so there's no Z axis. It's flat 2D. So this one refers to the size. Usually I'm working normal as it is now. I'm having not selected anything. My unit of measurement is in millimeters. I like using inches. I've selected it and it's telling me the size of my text in inches. Here it works on the rotation. You can manually enter rotation of text, but usually you can do that by clicking on it again and use this one to just do it. And you notice it's rotating around its center. It's because you have your anchor points here. We'll get to all that later. Anchor points. Now with this one, so let me revert it back to 0. For this next one, you can mirror your image horizontally. See, it has flipped it. You can also mirror it vertically. See, up, down. Those ones are nice when you want to do something like a reflection. But the important detail I was getting to is this. This is called your font list. With your text selected, you can choose different fonts for your text in the in your design. So I'm using Rawell. That's my new favorite font. Rawell. So you know what I'm doing. This one also, sorry, this I haven't selected the size of your font. You can use this place to, you know, select size also, or you can just use this handle. Usually we use these handles to select our font size. Just a switcher. Sage Graphics. So that's a text, and this going to we won't be using that. This part, sorry, I'll explain those one later. I'll explain them in practice. This one, you have your effect tools. You have the drop shadow, contour, blend, distort, envelope. I don't want to bore you with that. We would already spend too much time on this video, so I'll explain that. With those ones, I will explain as we go, as we use. And this, you have your transparency tool or opacity tool. You can use it to increase the opacity of an object, and for it to be see-through. You can select it, maybe drag across how you want the fadedness to be, so like this. So it's sharp on this side and it's faint on this other side. That's called your transparency tool. We'll get to that on. This is your color picker. You can use it to select colors from one point of the design and put it on another one. Well, that Ctrl Z undoes what we just did. And you have your interactive fill tool and your mesh tool. These are used to apply colors also, but just to practice, the interactive fill tool usually used to apply gradients to text or shapes, not on image. You can apply color like this to images, not be Photoshop. Click on the interactive fill tool and select an element you want to apply a fountain fill, for example, to, let's say, this red one. Click and drag, so you have it from red to white. You can now select this point, select this one, you can give it a color, and select this part, you can give it a color. We see wrong color balance, it does not work well at all. Give some like dark red. RGB is my favorite color. Okay, it's change to white so that it comes out well. So but don't worry, this is just beginner, so we'll get to that. Now this part is your color palette. Remember, before selecting any color on your color palette, you must make sure that the element you want to give a color is selected. Click and I'll give you whatever color you want. So well, that's a basic overview of Corel. You may have to rewind and play it again to get it. I just pretty rushed it. Like I said, this is my first time creating a video tutorial. So on the next page, we'll be going hands-on, working down from the top. We'll first of all explain layers and work down from top to bottom with each tool. Once again, welcome to Corel, welcome to graphics design, and I hope you find this interesting.